My name is Steve Salas, and in this video I'm going to take you beyond Monument Valley. The West has incredible scenery, and visiting the iconic Monument Valley Tribal Park is on bucket lists for people all over the world. But it's hundreds of miles away from major cities, so when you've come all this way, you're going to want to see as much of the area as you can. And that's what this video will help you do. By the way, you might want to pick up a map and follow along. You can get to Monument Valley from any direction. If you're coming from the east, consider checking out Mesa Verde, Chaco, Bisti, Shiprock, and of course the Four Corners site. If coming from the north, don't miss the incredible national and state parks around Moab. From the south, there's Route 66, the petrified Forrest, and Canyon de Chelly. And well, from the west, there's Zion, Bryce, the Grand Canyon, and Page, Arizona. Once you're finally in Monument Valley, of course you'll want to drive the 17-mile loop road or take a 3-hour guided tour. I'd also recommend an additional backcountry tour with a Navajo guide. It's the only way to take pictures like this. Be sure to take in an amazing sunset and maybe even a better sunrise. That may only take a day or two. So once you've done these things, it's time for some day trip exploring. And that's what this video is all about. Our first stop is just 13 miles up Highway 163, past the new RV park, to a very popular selfie spot. Google Maps calls it Forrest Gump Point. It's marked by a small sign and recently built pullouts for parking because it's become so popular. And if you're following along on a map, don't be surprised if the traffic is in red. You'll meet world travelers here. It seems people of all cultures want to stand where the fictional Forrest Gump stopped running across the country. These folks came all the way from China. I also met some Brits, and a van full of Aussies pulled up while I was waiting to get my shot at a little after 8 o'clock in the morning. I gotta admit, it's a great view. So once you've got your shot, I'd recommend heading up the highway to our next stop. It's just about 10 more miles further up Scenic Highway 163. By the way, the elevation in most of the area is between 4,000 and 4,500 feet. When the road turns to the right after crossing the San Juan River, you're in the town of Mexican Hat. I'm going to talk about this place for a little bit because this is where I usually stay when I'm in the area. There's not much here but a gas station, a few reasonably priced hotels, and a couple of decent places to eat. I've stayed here a few times because the rooms are less than $50. Yes, they're basic, but I don't need much. And the owner is very nice. Once she opened up a room for me even though the place was officially closed. How nice is that? Across the street, the rooms cost 2 to 3 times as much, but they have air conditioning and other features. This little motel has the swinging steak grill. When I ate there, the food was good, but what was really interesting were the other diners. It was very international. There was a table of French Route 66 motorcyclists, a group of demonstrative Italian rafters, some Israelis, and a table of Germans invited me to march over for a beer and a chat. It was pretty cool. And once you've eaten, well, get back on the road. Just a few miles past the Mormon church, and just 40 minutes north of Monument Valley, there's a dirt road that Google Maps calls 2161. It turns to the east to some amazing scenery. Obviously, this landmark is why the town is called Mexican Hat. Though I've been here a few times, I still find it fascinating. I just don't see things like this every day. And that far-off, multicolored ridge, it's a giant fold or a crack in the earth. Geologists call it an anticline fault. The different colors are different layers of rubble that eroded from a long-gone mountain range some say was as tall as the Himalaya. How's that for fascinating? The main trails are well-graded and smooth, so passenger cars shouldn't be a problem, unless it's wet. The first curve in the road is a fork. The left track heads down to the San Juan River. It's a bit more remote and peters out at a cliff face just above the river, at a pretty darn good picnic spot. The fork to the right leads to the buttes. The landscape and formations are big. Video just doesn't really convey just how big. That balanced rock is 60 feet by 12 feet and weighs about 20 tons. And don't spend all your time in the car. If you look closely, you can see an unmarked hiking trail to the formation. Keep in mind that big rock is balancing on a little tiny rock, and one day, it won't be. It is often very hot here, with very low humidity. If you do venture out on foot, you need to be prepared with plenty of water. If you're not used to high temperatures, you may be surprised at how quickly the heat can cause real health problems. On this mid-May day, the temp was in the 70s to 80s. That's 19 to 24 Celsius, by the way. There are several roads, or tracks. The one I happen to choose wound around some nice formations. I stopped several times. It's incredibly peaceful. And when there's no wind, this is a rare place with the sound of silence. After about an hour of wandering around, and after a meal break down by the river, I headed back to the highway and noticed someone trying a track that wasn't really a trail. I recognized the car as I had spoke to the couple traveling in it back in Monument Valley. The wife was already a bit bored by all this dusty wilderness. I just wonder what she's saying to him now. The next activity I want to tell you about is another off-road adventure. It's just a few more miles to the north, on Scenic Highway 163. Once again, Google Maps helped me find the Valley of the Gods Road. It goes off to the northwest. Unlike the Mexican Hat Road, this road does have a small sign pointing to it from the highway. And this is the Valley of the Gods. The buttes are scaled down compared to those in the tribal park, but you have the vast landscape mostly to yourself. At least for now. It's awfully nice, so there's little doubt that there will soon be ads promoting it as an unspoiled, must-see destination. Because that's what it is. And of course, soon after that, it won't be. 17 is an important number around here, because like the road in Monument Valley, this